What's going on, guys? It hasn't rained in a couple days, so I'm doing some watering out in the garden and my dog's bugging me. So what happened? Well, there's a few things that he does. He comes out, and because we put rabbit poo in the gardens, he comes into the gardens trying to eat the rabbit poo. So right here in the opening, I'm gonna have to come up with a little gate to keep him out. So what we're thinking of doing is we're gonna get some more of the panel, this stuff here that we used for the beans, and we're gonna make a nice little arch here. I'm gonna put in 4 posts. We'll put a nice little arch here, and then put a gate on it. That should keep him out. The other thing he just did is I saw over here, I don't know if you can see it very well, but a fresh spot that was like kind of dug up and all pushed around. I'm like, what the hell? It doesn't look like chickens. Well, I went over to put the soil back on the beans and found one of the hound dog's bones. So he buried his one bone in the green beans, pulled out one of the roots. So I buried that again, and I'm gonna water it right away now that I've noticed it. Hopefully it'll still survive, but I don't know. But what I wanted to talk to you about is we're on sand. So one of our big issues that we have, that probably others have if you're on sand, is there's not much organic matter in the soil. So you need to start getting that organic matter into the soil. Well, how do you do that? Well, one way we do it is we actually mulch. So any of the bad hay that we have, we've started to mulch all around our plants and flowers, bushes, trees, that kind of stuff. So right here we've been throwing some of the old hay. Another method that we use to get some of that organic matter back into the soil is here around the black currants, all the weeds and wild strawberries, once they're done blooming, we pull it out of the garden and just drop it here. So that starts to rot and creates a better habitat for little bugs and microbes and stuff. So even over here now, I don't know if you can see it, but in some places we've actually got mushrooms coming up now here. And the other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of our cow manure and place it in here as well. We're gonna make sure it gets composted. That way we don't have any weeds coming up, because if you saw my previous video, you'll see how bad it is if you don't compost your cow manure. So, and then if we come over here to another section, I just weeded a bunch of the big garden here, but right here again, we want to create like a little micro food forest. We're gonna got one apple tree. We're gonna put a couple more fruit trees in here, but it's just sand. So again, I've started taking the weeds from the other garden, put it here. We'll add some more compost as well here. We'll try and get that soil built up and start adding some of that organic matter to the soil. So that'll help you improve your soil. And if you keep it mulched with weeds, I think permaculture, they call it chop and drop. You just cut the weeds, drop them there where you want that good soil. Same with the hay. We drop it down. We've also done it over here around some of our berry bushes as well. So not only does it help improve the soil, but it also helps retain the moisture. And that's a really big issue that you face when you just have sand, because the water just drains right through it. So what we've done here for this section of the garden is we continue to add, again, more organic matter to it. We actually just grab rabbit droppings and just throw it in here. It doesn't produce the weeds that we see happen with horse manure or cow manure, and you can actually just see that it's right there. And we've got these onions growing up really well, basically in sand and rabbit poo. So I highly recommend doing that as well if you're on sand. So one of the things I highly recommend if you're on sand too is just go ahead and start planting. I planted a green bean, a bush bean here in a demonstration in my other video of planting and harvesting green beans, and that green bean is already popping up and growing. So it'll probably need some TLC because it's right here in the sand. So, and it's late in the season, so I don't know if I'll harvest anything from it, but I might give it a little manure, a little rabbit poo, some fertilizer to help it along, see if we can get anything from it or not. So if you're debating whether you can actually start a garden in sand, just do it, just plant. That's the biggest challenge, is not hesitating and just starting something. Then you'll actually start to learn so much about your garden as well, and how it performs under certain circumstances, how things grow in the sand, what you can actually start doing to improve. So you can try different stuff, like, you know, we've got beans here. We just planted that bean there. Over in the sand over there, we've got the bush beans. And then actually over on another trellis over here, we've got pole beans as well. But they're not doing so well. They weren't getting enough sun, and I don't think they're getting enough nutrients. So those ones haven't produced anything. These guys are going crazy, which is really nice. On this one, we've actually added compost, we added cardboard, we've added manure. This one's been probably the most beneficial, most looked after garden bed, and it seems to always produce the most. So one of the things you'll also realize when you're growing on sand, which people might not realize, is that you cannot actually, I don't think you can, overwater on sand, because the soil actually doesn't hold that moisture. It just goes straight through, drains down. So if you're on sand and you got a dry spell, make sure you water. And if you leave it there too long, don't worry about it, because it's just going to drain past the roots. It'll keep damp for a while, and that's why you want to mulch as well, to retain that moisture. So thanks again, guys, for checking us out. I hope you found some of that information helpful. And again, if you're on sand and you're scared about starting a garden, just plant it. All right? We'll talk to you soon. Love you guys.